People are calling me a Nepo baby. For those who don't understand the term, a Nepo baby is somebody who got their job only through nepotism, never accomplished anything in their career, and never did anything to deserve the position that they have. My father was the cinematic director for Blizzard for 23 years. He worked on basically everything going all the way back to the death and return of Superman and many other games, all the way up until now. And then he quit. He went off to Jagex and he worked on old school RuneScape, I believe as a creative director of some kind. With that in mind, he now streams on Twitch under the name of Yearjoy. People think that I got my job at Blizzard specifically because of him. In reality, I only had help from him in order to do my resume. Aside from that, for the people who have this narrative, both myself and my brother applied at the same time. I got the job, and my brother didn't. 2004. And like, this is kind of my whole career, right? My first job I got through nepotism, 100%. My dad worked at Blizzard for 23 years. He worked at Blizzard for 23 years, so I got a job there in 2004. I was shit. I was shit.
If you've been on YouTube these last few weeks, and especially if you're a gamer, you've probably heard of PirateSoftware. And if you've never heard of him before, or you're somebody that's already deeply into the controversies and sort of A-logging this now prolific LolCow, please stick around. This video is definitely for you. Welcome, I'm ThatsWeirdBro, and in this video we're going to be diving into the PirateSoftware controversies, as well as my thoughts on all of his controversies. Real quick, I'm going to say, this video is fair use. PirateSoftware, you cannot sue me for this. There's worse people dunking on you than me right now. Trust me.
We got PirateSoftware! He's gay! He's a furry!
Anyway. The Nepo baby himself, PirateSoftware, I believe, is everything that is currently ruining the modern-day games industry. Now, to solely blame the corruption of an entire art form on an individual person is obviously untrue. Obviously, he's not the sole person ruining the game industry. However, I believe that he embodies these issues in one person, being a particular nexus point of nepotism, laziness, as well as a complete lack of original ideas, with his most well-known game being what it would effectively be a fan game if it was made by anyone else. That would be released for free as a passion project. But for him, it has taken a decade, required crowdfunding, and not to mention the donations he gets from all of his fans. That is not to say that everything that every game company does and every bad decision that is made is PirateSoftware's fault. However, his philosophy when it comes to game design, game development, as well as his opinions on the Stop Killing Games initiative is largely why I would say that he is anti-consumer and, well, despite being someone that needs gamers for money for both his streams and his actual quote-unquote game, he seems like he hates gamers.
With the glass ceiling broken, all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.
And this anti-consumer sentiment that PirateSoftware holds, I believe, is the truth as to why he cannot back the Stop Killing Games initiative, as well as he holds many of the completely performative opinions and stances that he holds on things. His entire life is rooted around holding up this image of himself, because if he were to ever reveal the truth, the Emperor would have no clothes. If he ever showed you that he had a bit of weakness, if he ever admitted that he was once wrong, then every other thing would be a domino effect, and his fan base of mindless sheep would eventually turn around and realize, oh my god, I've been following a LolCow for years as if he's actually a real content creator.
He's lost 100,000 subs, is that true? Oh my god. So, it looks like it is in fact true. Wow. Okay, so you've got a negative in the last 30 days, negative 130,000. Oh my god. That's insane. He's done. Yeah, that's how does that even happen? And June, it's a negative 60,000, negative 30,000. So it's basically ever since the classic WoW incident, it was fucking over. That was it, man. It was actually fucking over after that. Let me see about the on Twitch. Oh my god. Wow. This is probably one of the biggest times I've ever seen this happen. This is insane. Minus 50K? That is nuts. How the fuck does that even happen? Oh my god. It's crazy how Pirate's getting all the hate. I remember only a year ago we watched his videos with good points. Yeah, people loved PirateSoftware. I think that what people really don't like on the internet is inauthentic behavior. And that's the reason why people are so angry at Pirate Software more than anything else.
I've been following a guy with long hair that looks like he smells like the back of my fridge and thinking that he's actually an ex-Blizzard game dev, but in actuality, he's just a Nepo baby. And hell, it would be hard for me to even say that this is a bad thing about Pirate Software if he would at least be honest and consistent about this stance. If he would consistently say, I benefited from my father's place within Blizzard Software, and then used that as a launch pad to be able to create my now basically scam company, Pirate Software, and now I need to do better, that would mean a lot. And that's why I initially thought, well, maybe people are being too hard on Pirate Software. Maybe he can pull out of this. Even though I never really liked the guy, I always thought, well, maybe if he at least becomes honest about himself and, tries to clean up his act, I would agree that maybe people are being too hard on him. But no, he's getting exactly what he deserves. For almost a decade at this point, he has been taking money from his fans, giving shoddy work, and basically doing nothing except just streaming all day. And his streams are just him lying to his fans about cool shit that he used to do.
All right, so the reason I don't like Mr. Robot. This right here is my write-up for the DEF CON 22 patch show. And it was because I listed out everything that we did as a team and showed the world the brilliance of Lost, who is the creator of these challenges. And the first thing you can see here is a number letter cipher. So 1 would be A, 2 would be B, so on and so forth. And you can see at the end of this, these last pieces of 1057, 1057, Lost's name is 1057. He goes by Lost, and 1057 is his handle. That is his signature at the end of this. And now let's go to Mr. Robot's Twitter. Understand that this was the only place in the world that this was listed. Mr. Robot reposted this right here. That's that same string, but what did they leave off the end? His signature. This is the same as taking an artist and removing their signature from their piece of art. They made it public to millions of Mr. Robot fans, and those people went and found all of the breadcrumbs that led after this, which led to Lost's personal phone number. He got tens of thousands of calls from fans of Mr. Robot thinking Mr. Robot was running an ARG, and I stopped watching the show as a result. And they never took it down. Absolute dog shit.
It is so humiliating, and he does it all with this extremely performative fake deep voice. But as I said previously, Pirate Software is so full of himself that he can never admit that he's done any wrongdoing. All of us in life get resources and benefits from the people that we know, whether it be friends, family, the people that we're married to or dating, etc. But the difference comes between most people's relationships and Pirate Software's relationships is accountability and respect. Because Pirate Software does not take accountability for his actions that negatively harms those around him whenever he is given opportunities. Nor does he respect in the people that actually gave him those opportunities in the first place. He gives this presentation of himself as if he views himself so far above others that he does not need to care about their opinions. As if he isn't someone that basically is still working freelance. A large part of his history was making 3D assets and lots for Second Life, which, for the people in the audience that aren't a boomer like me to remember what Second Life was, it was the original degenerate grooming scape on the internet. Imagine a Roblox hotel, but it spans the entire globe in terms of the maximum grooming containment possibilities. It was a early hive of scum and villainy on the internet, and Pirate Software somehow was able to make enough money off of making assets for this game that he was able to make a living for himself, while also undergoing several controversial relationship change-ups, until he eventually gets himself back on at Blizzard in some sort of professional capacity, which he proclaims is not due to any sort of nepotism at all at that point. He says that the first time he got a job at Blizzard, he blames that on nepotism. But when he got a job at Blizzard again, that wasn't nepotism. Even though he self-admittedly says, I was so shit at it, I had to quit. Just make a consistent lie, Thor. And that is the exact same flaw, the same sin of pride that I would say has infected the games industry. We're never going to see these MTX-infested games that have been giving us barely there gameplay in terms of gunplay or level design or really anything outside of just like online PvP. Like, we're never going to get an admittance that this was a bad step for gaming or that any of these games were mismanaged unless they lose like $1 billion like how Concord did. And then it's a very public admittance of them having to refund the game and shut the servers down. Outside of scenarios like that, it is incredibly difficult for game companies to show any sort of accountability, and that is exactly why the Stop Killing Games initiative was so important to so many people, is the accountability for companies for the micromanaged and terribly made products that they have been pushing onto consumers. Pirate Software, as an alleged pro-consumer advocate and a person that makes indie games for people that encourage other people to make games, was then trying to create a more hostile environment for those exact types of games. In a world where you're going to have these temporary games as a service titans that are constantly going to just be marketed in this loop of release death, and every game is just another piece of media to advertise another game, that ultimately just pushes a cycle of decay. And Pirate Software, it makes money off of that cycle, because he has sat and effectively rotted on top of a Undertale clone fan game for years, making passive sales from that, as well as it was a crowdfunded game, so people donated for it to be made, and then people contribute to his live streams to help him fund the development of said game. It's like how Darkside Phil, you have no reason to hit a goal, because when Darkside Phil hits a goal, he just stops streaming. Well, we already got the money for the day,
All
folks.
right, so we made the agreement that today, if I hit the goal, okay, I'm going to still order Popeyes and we're still going to do DSP Tries It, right? But here's the deal. If we don't hit it, we still have to have dinner. And I just talked to my wife, and the thing that she wants to make for dinner is something you bake in the oven. So we need to hit the goal by 3 p.m. because if not, she needs enough time to cook in the oven to make dinner, all right? So if we hit the goal, we're doing DSP Tries It for Popeyes. But we need to hit the goal by 3 so I can go downstairs and order with my wife. And
that's how Pirate Software treats his fans, with a game that they've already paid for. Pirate Software's fans deserve better. Gamers deserve better. And consumers deserve better. And the fact that he can't admit this, the fact that many of the people that are defending him are making arguments that would then make it easier for large companies like Activision, Ubisoft, and now Blizzard to step all over us, is exactly the point. He is a talking point. He is a shill for these people. And as Pirate Software has continued to be aided and abetted by his fans, he has continued to push these ludicrous talking points, and funnily enough, Streisand affected the Stop Killing Games initiative. When it was seemingly like it was on its last legs, when they didn't know if they would ever be able to get close to 1 million signatures, Pirate Software, people just wanted to make him angry so badly, they started pushing it harder and harder, so that way they could get everybody that they knew over in the EU to go and sign it. And if you're watching this video right now, and you still haven't signed it, and you're in the EU, please, I implore you, please go sign the Stop Killing Games initiative. It is important to me, this channel, and to gamers everywhere. Thank you. But Jason Thor Hall would never give you such an advisory. He would never tell you to do such things. But I think that is probably why he is so opposed to anything like this. It would make his job in the future potentially maybe slightly harder. And he is so averse to working, so averse to changing the archaic way that he does things and refusing to learn, that he could never support a piece of legislature that would make him work more. And that is what is so despicable about Pirate Software. He is so selfish, he can only see things for himself. But then, as he does things that aids him and lines his pockets, he expects you to view it as a benefit to yourself. If you liked this video, please like, comment, subscribe. I definitely want to do more YouTube drama stuff. The whole Pirate Software thing is definitely really dumb. Keep dunking on him. Keep telling people to sign up for the Stop Killing Games initiative. And if you like this video, please share it with your friends. Try to get this channel out there. Thank you.